What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Dungeon coming at you with another Fell Seal Arbiter's Mark tips and tactics video. And in this one, I'm going to be showing you guys some general battle tactics. So, if you're looking to improve your battle tactics like world famous General Mills or Colonel Sanders, you've come to the right place. Let's get right on into it. Alright, so for the first tip that I have for you guys today, it is focus fire. I know this was a tip from one of the last videos, but it is so important to focus fire, and I have actually picked a really great battle to showcase this, because in this battle your units are split in two entirely separate areas of the map. Like, you couldn't get further. Not only is it exactly opposite corner of the map, but it's also extremely different height. So it is a very far distance, and it's separated by ladders and stuff. So you really have to do a very good job at focus firing in this particular map. Like, every single one of your characters, you get pretty much 3 on each side, and you have to focus on the one enemy at a time. Because if you split your forces, and it's very easy to do on, especially with the bottom characters that you get to bring along, because you are going to be attacked by like 2 different locations. So it becomes difficult, and I really can't stress enough to make sure that whenever possible you focus fire. So focus all your energy on attacking one target with all of the available characters. Okay, so for the next tip that I have for you guys, it is to read your enemy player cards. Main things that you're going to be looking for are resistances, vulnerabilities, immunities, different abilities that they actually have, equipment that they have, counter skills, passive skills, all those type of things you really want to take a look at. So, you know, in this clip, I go ahead and you can see right here, I'm looking at which ones have vulnerabilities, what kind of resistances they have, and this is before the battle begins, because I want to be able to know what type of weapons that I can, you know, have on my loadout, what type of abilities I should have on my loadout, because as you progress through the game, you'll unlock weapons that have an elemental type, and if you attack an enemy with the same element that they're immune to, if they have over 100 on the immunity and the resistance, not only are they immune, but you're going to actually heal them when you attack them with that weapon. So this is very important information that you have to have before you start the battle. So the fourth tip, once again, take a look at the enemy player cards, read them, and know what they are. So for the third tip that I have for you guys, that is use debuffs on separate enemies. The reason why you use debuffs on separate enemies is so that you can basically get them out of the mix. You get them out of the whole attack plan for the enemy units, and you know, you can focus your fire on other units, all the while not really having to worry about, you know, how many extra units are going to be attacking your units, your own characters. And it is a really good strategy to use, so long as you don't have too many of your units doing this. You want to have maybe 1, maybe 2. So things like, if you can see right here, I'm using a rooting shot on this monster, and basically what's going to happen is that monster is going to be pretty well ineffective in combat for the next couple rounds. So I don't have to worry about getting attacked by that particular one. The other ones are a little bit further back into the battle map, so I only really have like 2 or so enemies to deal with, and I've got, you know, my whole party ganging up on them. So when you use debuffs in this kind of way, it allows you to not only deal more damage to a smaller number of enemies, but it also allows you to take less damage from the enemy team in general. So real good strategy. Use your debuffs effectively. So for the second tip that I have for you guys, that is use those buffs. Buff out your party, make them strong, make them super units actually. Use buffs like attack up, mind up. Those ones are really effective at dealing out loads of damage real quick, real fast. Other ones that are actually super excellent is like haste. Haste is an amazing buff. Make sure you're using that when you when you have it available. Especially massed haste. Some monster units actually get massed haste in conjunction with like attack up or mind up. So those ones are fantastic when you can use those. Barrier, mass barrier, that one is a very good one on certain maps when you have enemies that are trying to debuff your characters like no tomorrow. So just make sure that when you're using these debuffs, you're not doing it when you can attack the enemy. You're using these rather buffs when you're not able to attack the enemy. So when you have a little bit of downtime with your party, usually the first round or whatever, you get the opportunity to be able to do all these buffs. So make sure you're doing them if you can, like first round or in between when you can't actually attack your enemies. Use them buffs. Alright, so for the last tip that I have for you guys today, that is mind your positioning. And that means actually a number of things. It kind of depends on where your enemy's at, what is the situation, when in the battle are we talking about, early battle, mid battle, late battle, those type of things. So first let's talk about early battle. In the early battle, as long as your enemies are at least a distance away to where they can't really attack you, stay tight. Keep your units close so that you can cast all your buffing spells, your mass buffing spells, your AoE, typically cross pattern buffing spells on your units. So you want to have those units you need to get buffed in that cross pattern. So if you're going to be using those buffs like haste, attack up, mind up, barrier is a good one. Any of these that you're going to put on your units, get them in the cross pattern early on, so long as your enemies aren't too close, and then use those. All right, get those buffs on all your guys, and they'll be like those super soldiers I was talking about a moment ago. Okay. However, you do got to keep in mind that as soon as those enemies start getting closer, you need to break formation. You need to actually spread out a little bit, because while in the early game, in the early battle, it's good to be tight, it's really bad to be tight, like in a formation like that, when the enemies get close. So as soon as that happens, mid-battle or whatever, then you break formation immediately, because if the enemy can get an AoE attack off, they will. Believe me, especially if you're playing on veteran or higher, they're going to be trying to mess with your character, as many characters as they can at once. So as soon as they get close, break that formation. You should never allow the enemy to attack more than 2 of your units at a time with an AoE spell. Alright, unless it's something like with a weird, crazy, large AoE, like if it's a cross pattern AoE, you should know better. You should have those units spread out in such a way to where that don't really happen. Okay, like this right here, you can see I'm getting hit twice actually, but at least it's only 2 and not more than 2. So at this point, these units you see on the map right here, they're about to spread out, because I know this is a very tough battle. If you guys have gone to the arena, you know that there's 3 battles altogether, and they're tough battles, you guys. They're real tough battles. You want to make sure you have your A game on for these ones, because there's this pretty sweet reward if you get through the end. And I ain't gonna spoil it for you. It's a pretty sweet reward. But anyways, getting back to it, mid-game, mid-battle, yeah, avoid those AoE spells. And the last thing having to do with minding your positioning is don't have one of your characters go run off on their own like Rambo or something, okay? Your characters, more than likely you don't have any characters, certainly early and mid game, you probably don't have any characters that have the Rambo type abilities. All right, later on in the game, you might actually have that. Okay, you can potentially combine things like counterattack and leeching hit point type weapons or skills, and regeneration along with buffs and stuff and crazy mumbo jumbo. And you might be able to make something like that happen. You might be able to make a character that go run off on their own and take down entire, portions of the enemy team. But until that happens, don't go running off on your own, because what will happen is your enemy will see that. And as long as you're playing, honestly, even if you're playing on beginner, your enemies will see that, and then they will focus fire. They will use my own strategy tactic of focus fire on your units. All right, so then you're gonna have like 4 or 5 dudes all up on your one person. All right, and that ain't gonna go well. That ain't gonna go well for you at all. More than likely, you're gonna lose a unit in the battle, and needlessly too. So don't do that. Keep an eye on your positioning, early game, mid game, and don't go out of position. Don't have one of your units just go rogue. All right, that's not a good idea in most cases. All right, and that's pretty much all of the tips that I have for you guys today. All right. All right, you guys, that concludes this episode of Fell Seal Arbiter's Mark Tips and Tactics video, where I shared with you all 5 general battle tactics. If you had fun, if you learned something, if you enjoyed watching this, hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon so you don't miss another video, and as always, thanks, stay cool, and bye everyone.